Today we are going through how I made this Alexis Mac Allister design step by step, which is actually quite a simple design. All the techniques used are actually simple techniques, which is good. If you find this helpful, leave a like and subscribe, that'd be great, thanks. And yeah, let's get into it. So first, obviously, we started with a red background, and then I just added a gradient, making it dark at the top and then lighter at the bottom, just to make it more interesting. Obviously I adjusted the colour, and then I added this sort of, I don't know, square texture, which just helped make it look more interesting, the background. You can find this on texturelabs.org, which is really useful for textures and stuff. And then yeah, that's the background, which I quite liked, because normally I go over gradient the other way, so darker at the bottom, but I think it was just more interesting to have it darker at the top, and it did actually make it look a lot better for the final design. And then getting onto the images, which is yeah, probably the most difficult techniques. So first, obviously, we added this larger image here, which, as you can see here, we've just got the image cut into a shape of a rectangle. And then I did actually use quick select just to mask it out, so that we could retouch the image using clipping masks and not like mess up the background behind it. So then we did just retouch it, which if you want to know how I did that, go and check out my retouching tutorial. We use the exact same techniques here. We just desaturated the eyes and then exaggerated the shadows and highlights, and then we just use selective color here, as you can see, just to bring out the colors that we want and then match it to the colors of the other images later in the design. So then we added the second image, which you can see here. Again, we cut it out just so we can retouch it, and then we applied a mask to it, again as you can see here, just to fit it to the shape, and then we just retouched it again here. And then we used selective color, which is again important, to match the colors of here to here, and also match the skin tones, which is kind of hard because you can only see the back of his head. And then we did also add a drop shadow, which you can see here, just to give it a bit of depth. Otherwise it will look quite flat without the drop shadow, as you can see. It does work sometimes with drop shadows and without drop shadows. It depends what look you're going for. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But in this design I did add a drop shadow, and it did help the final look. And then same thing again, I added the number 10, which you can see here. Obviously masked it to the right shape, just to put the focus onto the number 10 shirt, which Alexis Mac Allister got. And then we just retouched it a tiny bit again and used selective color to match it with everything else. And there you go, those are the three images once we had the drop shadow, don't forget that. And then we move on to probably the hardest bit, which is adding this small image, which I cut out here. So as you can see down here, we've actually got the shadows, which I actually just took from the original image, which you can see here. So this is actually quite a useful technique. To do this, firstly you can see that it's literally just the same image behind him, which on the blend mode multiply, and then use blend if, which you can see here, and just brought the highlights all the way down on the current layer, like that, just to only be able to see the shadows. And then I used the mask to just paint in the shadows that you want to see, and then when you zoom out you can see the shadows and they look perfectly fine, which we've literally just taken from the original image. And then I just desaturated it, I think. Yeah, desaturated it just to help with the final look. And then I also added some shadows for the areas behind this image here, just to give it a bit of depth again, like we did with the drop shadows. And then I added the World Cup trophy, because obviously he is a World Cup winner. We put a camera raw on that just to bring out more of the reds, because it's a red design. And then I added some shadows, which I painted in like that. And then we just retouched this image again to match the colours with the rest of the design, which you can see here. Mainly with selective colour, just manipulating the reds and probably the yellows. Yeah, the yellows mainly is skin tone. And then obviously we desaturated the eyes because you don't want red eyes. And then same thing again with the curves, as you can see here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the images, which is good. Now if we look at the typography here, so firstly I added this block of type here, which the font is whatever this is up here, and then I just obviously made his name yellow to stand out. And then I added the 3 blocks of 10 here, just a bit of repetition around the design. Obviously again I made one of them yellow to sort of fit in with this and make it stand out to the viewer. And then obviously we added Liverpool FC here because he just signed for Liverpool FC and that's the point of the design. And then I just added this Prince issue 2 rubbish here. I found it on Texture Labs. Looks good, so why not? Literally has no meaning, but yeah, I just put it in there for fun. And then I added the number 10, again highlighting that he's Liverpool's new number 10, which is the focus of the design. And then just this line here, just to balance out the composition. And then I did add some yellow rectangles again, just to bring out a different colour, which again you can see is on the kit. So I just put one there, and one there, and then I just faded them out like that to bring out some oranges, as you can see as it merges there. And there you go, that's pretty much it. And then we just did some colour correction here, which you can see here. We just brought down the vibrance by 2, not sure the point of that, but you know. And then selective colour again, just to bring out the colours you want, bring a more pinkish look to the design, which again will change in the camera raw filter, and yeah, bring out the colours that we want, like I just said, so that it sets it up for the camera raw filter. And then we just added some colour lookups again, just to make it look a bit better. And then some noise, which I always like, probably use a bit too much, but yeah, looks good there. And then we just added a black to white gradient on overlay again here. Just, I don't know why I did that, to be fair, because obviously we want it dark at the top anyway. That looks fine. If you want to know how to do that, I'll just do it quickly. You just make a black layer, get a brush like that, and then just paint on it like this, and then put it on overlay, and then choose the opacity that you want. There you go. So then finally, just to finish the design, we added a camera raw filter, which you can see here. We just took a screenshot with Control Alt Shift and E. I don't know what it is on Mac, have a look on Google. And then we just put on this camera raw filter, which you can see here, just to finalize it, which I will actually go through right now. So we just played around with these settings, I didn't do much here because it didn't need much, because we'd already worked with that. Just brightened it up, which I usually do, because usually when you view it on a phone, the phone screen is slightly different to what you're looking at on your computer or whatever, and the phone screen is usually a bit darker, so I usually do brighten it up at the end. And then yeah, just sharpening and then playing around with the colours, which yeah, -1, yeah, pointless. And then a bit of colour grading actually, just to bring out the highlights of the red again, making the red design, and then a tiny bit of vignette, as you can see here, and then a bit more grain. Obviously I love a bit of grain. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you found this useful, then let me know in the comments. Let me know what you would like to see next on this channel. And yeah, thanks for watching.